In this video, I'm going to 3D print a skeleton knife fade, as well as a karambit marble fade, fire and ice. Unfortunately, everything didn't go to plan with the skeleton knife especially, but I got there eventually. I've only just started experimenting with vertical printing, so this is my first kind of go at it. It's obviously not perfect, and it didn't come out well, but here's my whole process anyways. This is also my first ever long video, so I'm doing my best. Let me know if I can make any improvements in the comments. The first thing I did was printing off a miniature skeleton knife to see if the vertical idea would work as a kind of test. So I literally just scaled it right down and printed it off, and here are the results.
I'll show you in some better light, but doesn't look too bad. I think the big one's going to come out a lot better. I'm using the 0.6 nozzle, so for a smaller design like this, it's not supposed to look very good. As a prototype, I'm pretty happy with this. I think I'm going to leave the big one on overnight, so.
What I didn't mention were these tiny little holes that had started appearing. This was the beginning of a huge under extrusion problem I would face in my later prints. I really did push my printer speed up on this, so I wasn't worried at this point. I just wanted to see if it was stable enough. Anyways, on my first attempt, I printed the knife with only a support halfway up, supporting the big hole just to give it stability, as I was worried it would fall over before reaching the tip.
So I've just come back, it's about 2/3 of the way through. It's literally moving around, and the nozzle is literally just knocking the print around everywhere, so it's definitely not stable enough. I don't know if you can see. Every time it does the infill, can you see how much the print is moving? As soon as it does the infill, it literally just smacks it around everywhere.
Eventually, it shifted the knife so much it just started printing on air, so I stopped it, and as you can see, this completely failed. I went back into Cura and changed the overhang angle to 10 degrees. Obviously, my Ender 3 Pro can handle a 10-degree slope. This was purely to force it to generate side supports to prevent it from oscillating during the print.
I'm just putting on a fresh roll of filament because this one is running out, so the way you do that is you push this in like this. So I'm going to pull this spring down like that, and then just start pulling the filament out. You're going to make sure the nozzle's hot for this, because otherwise it will be fused to the nozzle and you won't get it out. Okay, take that one off. We've only got a little bit left on here, so I don't want to risk it running out of filament. Alright, so use this next roll. Unfortunately, I actually dropped this yesterday. I dropped it on my printer. Yeah, I dropped it on my printer, and it snapped the spool, so I've had to tape it up. Hopefully that's fine. I mean, I'm sure it'll be fine. As long as any filament doesn't get stuck to it. I don't think it will, because I just taped the outside, so I'll put this back in and start the print. Okay, so the printer's all ready. I'm going to hit start and then go to bed and see what it looks like in the morning.
And it worked. This absolute beast came off, and I started trying to get the supports off. I say trying because these things were welded to the print. I literally had to use all my strength to try and snap them off, but we got there. After cleaning up all the stringing, I put on a coat of filler primer. I also sprayed the karambit while I was there because I had this printed before I started. The idea behind the filler primer is that a PLA print, especially with my under extrusion, has loads of surface imperfections. The filler primer fills in the valleys but also creates its own uneven surface. But filler primer is a lot easier to sand off than PLA, so that's exactly what I did. After sanding to get a smooth surface, I applied normal primer to help the paint stick. Also to give it a grey undercoat, since that's what can be seen at the bottom of the blade. This is, however, where I made another mistake, by skipping a base coat of white. The grey meant the colours I sprayed on with the airbrush faded loads, which ruined the initial effect. In retrospect, I think some red and purple would have worked really well too. I was going off an image from CSGO where the fades weren't as vibrant. In CS2 they are way more colourful, so I'll make sure to do that next time. I still think this came out pretty well though, especially after I added the electrical tape handle. This was really easy to do. I just used a scalpel to slice the tape in half and wrapped it around the handle. Unfortunately, it did leave loads of bubbles which I had to squish out. The last step is using the goated silver Sharpie. This thing is so easy to use. It's literally just a marker pen and it really brings the print to life, making the knife look like it has a sharpened tip. Next up is the Corit Fire and Ice. This is a particularly special skin, costing almost 10k, which is just insane, and yes, that's real money. It's actually a marble fade, which usually looks like this, with random distributions of red, blue and yellow. But there is one pattern out of 1,000 different seeds that only has blue and red, with the red coming out this far, and it does look pretty cool. But just why would you pay that much unless you're trying to make a profit? It's just crazy to me. For the karambit, I also filled and sanded it to bring out the smooth surface. Great tip here, my friend has a food dehydrator that we used to dry the paint and it worked really well, like we could dry a whole coat in less than 5 minutes. They're pretty cheap on Amazon, I think they're like £40. He's also currently working on converting it into a filament dryer which improves the quality of the filament and in turn the quality of the prints. Anyway, here's me sanding the karambit. When I was sanding it, I did notice the filler starting to dissolve during the wet sanding, so I switched to dry sanding. I don't know why this is because I thought the filler primer would be oil soluble, but apparently it's dissolved in the water as well. Once I got it nice and smooth, I used a brush to do a base coat of black all over the blade and handle, hoping it would give the blade that dark depth that you see on the marble fade knives. I don't know if it worked, it looked okay, but still didn't really get the depth. The sponge was good, but I think I went to a little bit too thick. This did end up going on the handle, so I had to touch it up with a brush with black paint and also some red to like get in the little crevices. And I also got trolled because the paint dried way lighter than when I applied it, so I ended up having to go over it in a darker red. Of course, I went over the tip in the silver Sharpie and boom, look at that. Here's me just trying to inspect it. I actually really like inspecting the karambits because they're pretty easy to do compared to the skeleton knife. I mean, as you can see, I wasn't the most skilled at that. I also have like 10 knives now and I literally don't know what to do with them all. So if you have any ideas, please let me know. Also let me know if you like this long video style or if I should just stick to shorts. I saw someone comment that I didn't sand it or something, so I thought I would release the full process. I think in my next video, I'll try and print a butterfly autotronic because I saw this funny clip of OniPixel unboxing one.
Why is it showing it to me? I've never seen that before.
And I have all the colours I need for it. If you have any knives or weapons that you want me to do, also let me know down below. And yeah, stay tuned for me trying to fix my under extrusion battles.